Hello guys, this is eGamer, and today I'm going to give you a tutorial on the painting bar in Scratch. And I'm going to show you how to use all of its contents. Enjoy! Alright, let's start off by choosing the square section and choosing our colors right over here. This is where you choose your colors. Right over here in the red area, you pick the color that fills the shape that you're making, which right now is a square. Right over here in the area where it's surrounded by blue, we can see what we can pick. We can pick a bunch of different things, but right now we're just going to focus on the square, because we need to create at least some shape before we start to go into the basics of everything. Because a shape is going to help us visualize the picture. All right, let's pick the color that fills our shape. I'm just going to make it a nice blue, and our outline is already black, so that one I'm gonna keep, and I'm going to make the outline 6, or you know what, 7. All right, let's make our square, and we can drag our mouse. We can click and then drag our mouse to make our square look like whatever we want it to look. And if we press Shift, it's going to make an even square for us, and we can just change its size. We can model its size, but other than that, it's going to be a perfectly even square. Its sides are going to be perfectly equal, and that's a pretty cool thing. All right, there's our square, and now we can drag it to the very middle, which is right over here. It is right over here where this little dot is, and to help us find the middle, all of our shapes also have this kind of X on the front of the shape. So now let's make it a purple so that you can see the X, and you can move it. You can move both of our X's next to each other, so that now our square is perfectly in the middle. All right, now we can start adjusting it and seeing what different icons do. All right, let's move to the fourth icon, which is the eraser. Right over here, you can adjust its size. So I'm just going to make mine a nice 15, and I can start erasing. And in vector mode, and I'm going to explain what that is in a sec, you can, once you erase the outlines of the space in between, they sort of change. So you see this white part that I erased? Now, whatever I erase and is left out without an outline, it grows its own outline. So that's pretty useful. But you can change that if you don't want that to happen. You can do all of this in vector mode. All right, so let's create a new square now that we know how to use the eraser tool. And let's just use the paint tool to draw. So this is right over here, the paintbrush. The little blue paintbrush is the painting tool. And over here, you can select the color of the paint. I'm just going to give my color red. And right over here, you can select its outline, or like the size of the paint that you're putting down. All right, let's put down something. God, I don't know. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just giving you a demonstration of what you can do. All right, way to go. We have ourselves this cool snake. And once we do something, we can always adjust it later on. And once again, we can press Shift to make it even. Actually, no, we can't. No, we can't. But it's still pretty cool, because you can still adjust it. Actually, right over here, I noticed that the controls are reversed. So over here, you already have the even adjustment, but if you press Shift, you can actually make it like really stretched out and weird. But you can also do that if you use these side lengths over here. So you can use these dots too. You can use diagonal dots, you can use vertical dots, and you can use side dots to adjust the size of your of whatever you created. And once again, let's put it back to the middle where the two X's meet. And a cool thing is that you can rotate your shape. So you can, if you just grab at the right spot which is right under your shape. It's right under your shape. There's like a little arrow that sticks out at two ends. If you grab that and hold it down, you can rotate your shape to whatever you want it to look like. Bam. We have like a strange thing that we created. All right, let's go back to the first ever tool, the selector tool. Basically, you can use this tool to basically select your shape and play around with it. And there's a similar tool to that. It looks just like the cursor, but it's right next to the cursor, but it's actually another tool. It's called reshape. And right over here, you can see that there are all these little dots that you can use to adjust your shape. You can widen them out and stretch them to very weird measures, and you can basically just play around with your shape like this. But let me actually just delete this, and I'm going to show you what it's like to create a 3D, well, no, not a 3D, but just a smooth shape with smooth ends. So let me create a shape like a square, and I'm going to make its edges smooth. As a bonus, at the end of this video, I'm going to teach you how to create 3D shapes with this. So as you can see, I'm creating these two dots next to the edge, and then I'm sort of moving it inward so that these dots hold it in. Because if I did this without the dots, then I would shrink the whole shape. So we need to they're sort of like pins. Like the dots that you put down are like pins, and you can use them to pin some part of your shape and then drag the other part. All right, bam. We have ourselves a cool smooth edged square. You know what? I don't even want to delete this. I want to play around with this. All right, the next tool is the filling tool. You can use it to fill in your shape with a different color, and there are multiple ways you could do this. You could use just the solid color, and just in case you didn't see where the action is happening, it's right over here in the area outlined in red. So you can use the solid color, which was what I picked right here, the solid coloring. You can use side coloring, which basically has this cool effect where there are two colors that swap. All right, let's open that back up again so you can see it again. So the red square is still there. So it's sort of like a cool side effect where there are two different colors that are sort of transforming into each other. So I think you get the idea. You can also swap those two colors and edit each one of them by just selecting them. So you can make a nice way of coloring of your choice. So that's side coloring, where one color transforms to another. And you don't want to make it too different because it kind of looks like really ugly if you do two different choices. Like if you make it like, I don't know, like this, I don't know, that looks kind of ugly, especially if you do like something like, let me pick, yeah, this definitely looks ugly, and it is not the coolest choice, exactly the coolest choice to use when using swap color, like sideways color. All right, you can do the same thing, but over here it's from top to bottom. That's how those colors switch. Let me make this. That looks a lot nicer. And you can use another way of coloring where basically there's a dot of color, and the dot is surrounded by another color. So you can move the dot. That's kind of interesting, but it's just the way you try to shade it. So there you can sort of make a dot, and it's cool, I guess. Like you can just make a dot in the middle and have it surrounded by a different color. That's cool. Let me just create a cool color. Oh, that looks sick. All right, I'm just gonna keep my shape like that, and we're going to move on to the next section. So this was filling in our shape with different colors. Now let's do text. So text is literally self-explanatory. It's just texting. So you can press in any area, and you can click again in a different spot to remove that. But you can literally press in any area and start typing. Hello. I'm going to type hello. Okay. And you can even change its font. So sans serif, that looks nice. Handwriting, marker, hello curly, pixel. I love this one the most. Hello. Especially when I'm making a game, I love pixel. All right, these are some Japanese symbols, but don't trust them. You can't write with Japanese like this in Japanese like this. These are just certain fonts, I guess, that people use in Japan to type their words. Okay, whatever. And after you're done picking your font, you can always put this somewhere, and you can always resize it, rotate it. Oh my god, I don't want to leave this shape like this. I just want to delete this. It looks ugly. But basically, you can type whatever you want, and after that, you can play around with it, and you can even switch its color if you have it selected. You can switch it to any color, and that's cool too. Also, there's this interesting feature, and it only works on shapes. It only works good on shapes. So you can basically you basically don't have to have anything filled out in the space between the outline at all. So you can just press this and then select it to solid mode, and your shape is literally just going to be empty. So that's interesting. It looks like a white over here at the right side, but it really just doesn't even have any color. Let's undo what we did. And in case you didn't notice, there's this interesting thing. If you choose a different mode, then you have one side that you can unfill, and there's another side that you can also delete if you want. But that would be the same thing as just solid coloring and then not filling it in at all. But you can make this cool effect where you don't have to fill one part, but you do fill one in. And that looks cool, I guess. Let me try to fill that in. That looks interesting. I mean, you can see the background behind over here. But that's cool. Still, that's interesting. Over here, it looks really nice, really neat. All right, let's undo what we did. And basically, to do what I did, it's like, say you set a color. To remove that color, you just have to press the X in this section right here, like just this X. Well, it's not really an X, it's just a red line, but it basically shows you that like there's no color at all, except for the red line, which is usually a symbol for blocking stuff. Like say a stop sign, like there's just a white line on a red octagon. So I guess that's a pretty self-explanatory sign. But all right, let's move on. There's also a section for choosing your color on the screen. So you don't have to pick it right over here. You can use this. I don't know what this is. I think it's like an ink drop tool, but basically you just I'm pretty sure this is a pipette that they're trying to show, and you can basically use this pipette to, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, like you can use this pipette, or I'm just gonna call it pipette. So you can use this pipette to get a color into the pipette, and then you can modify it right over here, so it shows right here in the filling section. So you can sort of like pick a color from the screen. That's cool. All right. Oh boy, I accidentally put that purple on. All right, and this was filling in and stuff and different functions that you could use. Now let's move on to the line tool. So we already looked over at text, and we looked over at fill, erase, paint, reshape, select, and there are a bunch of other features that I can show you later in select. So basically what you can also do, this is just a quick reminder, you can also color your outline, so don't forget that too. You can make it red or whatever color you want. All right, let's move on. All right, the next tool is Align, and this is only for outlining for obvious reasons, because a line is usually like an outline of something, unless you want to color using lines. Well, then just in case you want to do that, you can always recolor your line. But basically, this is just to make simple shapes with your line. So you can just literally randomize your shape and just use lines to make a shape or like a certain letter. I don't know. I'm just gonna make this crazy F right over here. Now I can make an A. This just looks like an A. All right. And in case you didn't notice, I was sort of connecting my lines. And even if you did notice, I have to explain that to you. So case you didn't notice there, I can pick an edge of a line and I can start from there, start my next line from there. So that's really cool and useful. And I guess you can just make any random shape you want. I just made this triangle thing. Oh boy, I don't know, I'm just gonna delete that. And the final tool that we hadn't looked over yet, we've looked over at the square, but there's also the circle. So yeah, you can just make a circle and once again, use the shift strategy. Remember that's when you press shift and you can make this circle an even circle. I don't know what you would really recall as an even circle. I don't know, like maybe like its circumference is like unique or something. I don't know what you would recall as an even circle, but it basically just looks perfectly even. Like it doesn't look like something like this or like this or like this or like this. that just looks ugly. All right, now let's look at the features right above over here. So basically what you can do is that there are these arrows that you can use to undo what you did and redo it then, which is interesting. So you can sort of undo the undo. Wow, you can, that's ironic. All right, also you can copy your costume and you can then paste it. And then, as you can see, once I have selected something, there's these buttons are active. So delete, flip horizontal, flip vertical. So flip horizontal is a way to flip your shape horizontally, like in the opposite direction. Flip vertical is the same thing, but vertically. So you can flip your shape upside down or the right way around. Once again, you can paste it, paste. Okay, we're not gonna be crazy right over here. I just want to delete all of these. And also, there's something that is involved where two shapes are involved. Yeah. So as you can see here, this icon just became active. It's called group. Well, I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but you can basically select multiple costumes, multiple shapes or pieces of sort of like selecting multiple pieces of the puzzle, and then you can group them together as if they were one sprite. That's cool. And now this icon became active because we selected a grouped item, and this icon is called ungroup, where you can basically just ungroup those two things, and now there are two separate sprites or two separate pieces of the puzzle. All right, now I'm going to show you something that also involves two shapes, but you don't have to select them all at once. This is sort of like multiple levels of the font, but basically, say that there's a shape that is showing like in front of another shape, and you want it to show back behind another shape. You can press backward to make the front shape go behind the other shape. Like as you can see, I pressed backward. All right, now that you have your shape behind the other shape that you wanted it to be behind, you can always either undo what you did, or you can just press forward. So that makes now makes the shape in front of the other shape. So it's sort of like multiple layers. Like, you know how there's a block over here that says go to front layer or back layer? Well, it's just like the same thing in these costumes. So with these costumes, there are multiple layers, and you can you can model these shapes in different layers. So it's kind of an interesting thing to talk about. But yeah, now there's another set of icons right over here, and they do exactly the same thing as forward and backward, front and back. They do exactly the same thing. You can select a shape and make it go to the front layer, or forwards one layer, and then backwards another layer. You know what? I'm even gonna try copying pasting and seeing if this works. Oh, now I see what the difference is. So these buttons make you go to the very back layer and the very front layer, while these buttons move you back just one layer. See how this shape is in between these two shapes? Well, that's because I only moved it back one layer. But if I move it forward again to the front layer and then back, it's gonna be all the way behind these shapes. Now I see why they did that. Then I can move it forward, back, then forward again, and to to make this beautiful sandwich. Okay, now I see that's actually super useful. All right, now we looked over at these buttons. All of these buttons we looked over at, and just a quick reminder, you can always change your costume's name. So I can set it to costume 1 with an uppercase letter, or I can set it to a lowercase letter again, and I can even put a space here. So you can make different changes in the costume's name. But now I'm going to look over at these magnifying glasses and equal sign right over here. Basically what that is you can press the magnifying sign with the plus to make your view closer, and you can press the minus magnifying sign to make your view farther. And you can press the equal sign to make your view right away. Make your view like the most backwards view you can make. So that's about it for these buttons. Now let's talk about what it means to convert something to bitmap mode. Bitmap mode is basically a mode that allows you to paint in pixels. So it's basically a bunch of pixels that you're painting with, because you can set this to a certain color, and then as you can see, there are these different pixels like being colored right over here. So this is basically a mode that you can use to paint with pixels. It's pretty useful for pixelated characters. So yeah, that's cool. You can make all of these pixelated images, and then you can select them and move them all right over here. But there's something I have to tell you. That's a little different about these things. So the eraser icon here changes. So over here, now these shapes don't have an outline to refer to, because we're in bitmap mode. So they don't grow back different outlines, because in bitmap mode that's not possible. In fact, you know what? Let me even create. You can't even do that. You can't do. Well, like you can do outlines, but let me try it. So you can make over here, when you create a shape, you can make the filled part of it or the outline part of it. And I recommend doing the outline part first, and you can choose the thickness right over here, because then you can use this tool to fill it in. You can use the filling tool, just like we always did, to fill something in. You can even fill the outline in. I mean, I think everyone knows that. And then in the circle, it's the same thing as the square. And in the selector tool, it goes a little different. Whatever you select, that's what you select. So let me select this area here. You might think that I've selected the whole square here, but no, I've only selected the area in blue. And if I move it, bam, what I have not selected, it gets left behind. So that's how bitmap mode goes. So that's what it is. You can use this mode basically to draw stuff in pixels. So that's all it is. And vector mode, I promised I would tell you about vector mode, but I didn't get a chance to. It's just a mode that basically gives you the chance to sort of make stuff in a more modern way. Like you can draw stuff in a more modern way. Like, see how you can just make this square, like not 3D but with smooth edges. I keep saying 3D because I want to give you a shot to make a 3D shape. I want to show you how to do it. So you can make like stuff with smooth edges, and yeah, it's just a more modern way, and it's not pixelated. Like pixelated is like, we prefer to call pixelated like low quality or something like that, but it's just, this is just a cool way to make different things, to make different things look more beautiful than they may look like in vector mode. So let me create something. So as you can see, I've created a trophy, and if we widen out the area here, it looks a lot nicer than it would have looked in vector mode. So like in vector mode, you can make stuff look more modern, and in bitmap mode, you can basically make stuff look more arcade game-ish. So like this trophy looks just like from an arcade game, but if I made it in vector mode, this is what would happen. So you have to admit, it doesn't look as good. You have to admit, like it looks looks a little dicey. Like, it does look like a trophy, but like, man, like, it's just not the type of arcade game trophy. All right, now that you've learned how to use all of these tools right over here, you now can learn how to use this button right over here. So, well, it's actually not a button, it's several buttons that you can use. So basically over here, you can use these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons to choose a costume to put into a sprite. You can upload a costume from your own device. So like you can download a picture from online, and then you can upload it right over here. You can have a surprise costume. So like I'm just gonna press surprise, and over here I get a puppy side. I don't even know what puppy side means. Like what does side mean over here in this case? And I can mess around with it now. I can even remove its tail. I removified this dog's tail. This dog feels sad now. I'm gonna give him red eyes. I don't know why I'm fooling around with this right now, but I just got a surprise thing. And I wanna turn him into something cool and at the same time a little bit crazy. Okay. I'm going to I don't even know what I'm gonna do. What if I fill this whole thing red? I wanna fill this whole thing red. Ah, shoot, I don't think I can do that because this dog is completely covered with different colors of pixels. It's like so much detail. Like so much detail was put into this, but I can do this though. I can keep filling this in. It's cool, I guess, but not really, because like it's not really the point. What if you could fill this whole thing red right now? That would be amazing. Let me select this. Wait, let me select this. Now I'm going to, it doesn't work. That's just the thing with the bitmap. All right, let's delete that. So anyway, yeah, you can have a surprise costume. You can use your camera, only if you have a camera though, on your device that you're like scratching on to make a sprite, or you can paint your sprite or choose a costume. Like you can choose a costume from the costume. From the sprite lab, or the costume lab in this case. So there's tons of costumes in Scratch. Like there's so many choices that I would never ever like look over all of these in a video, but these are all of the costumes. I'm just going to tell you that there are different categories and that you can you can choose a category or you can search for your costume. So right now I'm just gonna riffle through the categories really quick. These are the animals. These are the people. There's a lot of people. Lots of new people added. There's fantasy, which basically like real life Franks. I don't know. This just pops up like a miniature Shrek thing, and it says it's Frank. Its name is Frank. Like dancing bats, centaurs, so that kind of stuff right over here, and dragons. Then dance, like dancing sprites, music, so like instruments, sports. That's self-explanatory, but like this. I do not know what that is. Goalie. A goalie with the head of a glove. But what? Food. I'd say this is my favorite category, honestly. Like, look at this taco wizard. It's amazing. This is fashion, so like clothes and even dolls. Dolls, okay. And finally, letters. I like this category too. It just gives you a bunch of choices for letters that you can use in these costumes. All right, now that you've watched through this entire video, you know how to use this costume painting tool. You know how to paint, you know how to make a shape, and you know how to create text that is red from one side and orange from the other. Actually, there's not an option to do that. I thought that text could be sideways colored too, like just like this. Wait a second. Oh, this is the filling part. Right. Yes, indeed. Text I thought so. Text actually can be colored like this in a really cool way. So I hope you knew how to do that. And now for the grand finale. Drum roll, please. 3D shapes. Let's go. I'm actually finally going to show you how to make a 3D shape. So this is 3D shapes. I just got an email from Duolingo about staying motivated. Okay, I'm just going to show you now how to make a 3D shape. All right, let's delete this, and now let's start the 3D building. All right, let's make ourselves a square, an even square, just like I told you how to make it. Now let's create a little bit of a darker of a square. Actually, let's go ahead and copy paste this one and make it a darker color. And now we're going to set it to half of its length. Now we're going to put it right next to this square. And now we're going to use the reshaping tool to make this part diagonal. And now we're going to make this part diagonal too. So we're going to shift this slightly so that it's now a side of the shape. And now we're going to copy and paste it, and we're going to rotate it so it looks like this. And then we're going to flip it horizontally, and then let's try it the other way. No, it doesn't work like that. So we are going to either ever so slightly, yeah, we're probably gonna ever so slightly reshape it right over here so that it looks like an actual 3D shape. And bam, we actually did it, a 3D shape. So do you see how easy that is now? Do you see how easy it is to create a 3D shape? I mean, it might have looked hard before when you saw if you didn't know at first how to create 3D shapes, but now that you see it, it looks so easy, and yet it seemed so complicated all the time. All right, now let's make this. Let's copy paste this. Make it a blue. Make this a darker blue. Make this an even darker blue. Now let's go ahead and copy paste this again. I'm going to teach you the principles of 3D, of multiple 3D shapes. All right, now, like I told you to, we're going to move it backwards a few layers. Yep, we moved it backwards through all of these layers, and we're going to put it right over here, and we're going to set it to a color of green. I don't know. I think I'm making like a Windows symbol. I'm not sure if these are the right colors, but they might be. And now let's go ahead and make the yellow square. I mean, we already have the square. We just need to color it yellow. All right, let's make it go to the very backwards layer, forward, a few layers forward, so that we can see it fully. After all, it's in front of the green square if we look at it like this. And now, I'm not going to make these yellows too dark because they're going to look ugly. But now we have our Windows symbol. I'm not sure if it's right, so don't keep bugging me in the comments. Oh, that's not right. That's not right. But basically, we just made ourselves some 3D shapes. Go ahead and try it right now. Alright guys, this was eGamer with you. I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial and got a better sense of painting stuff and editing stuff, reshaping stuff, all of that kind of stuff in Scratch. I hope you got a better idea of how to paint your own sprites and how to make them look good. No matter what, in pixels or in a modern view. Alright, this was eGamer with you. Thank you very much guys for watching, and I will see you in my new videos. Thank you guys for watching once again, and if you like this video, please give it a like, make sure to subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell so that you don't miss any of my new videos. Well, thank you very much guys for watching once again, and goodbye.